Well, hello, I'm Alex, and today we're gonna do some doodling. Use this to get back to that sketchbook of yours, or simply as a warm-up. In this series, I'll share with you doodling ideas based on observation. We'll do some continuous line drawing for those, but also based on repetition. We'll have fun with pattern play, and based on imagination, which is when we'll doodle with ink blots. My dream for you is that your creative play spills over into all parts of your life. And that's why I'm making these videos, so that you can take a tiny play break with me. This is your creativity timeout, baby. Just jump in and mess around with your art supplies and work alongside me. No worries, I'm keeping this. No fuss fabulous, easy peasy. Go ahead, check it out. Today we're going to doodle with ink blots. Yay! So what you need for today is some kind of ink that you can drip into your sketchbook, or if you're working with paper, you can drip on your paper. These are very inexpensive inks that are meant for adding to your stamp pad when it starts to dry out a little bit. They dry super quickly and they're soluble in water. So that's what I'll be using, probably mostly black. But I want to show you what that looks like in red and blue. And these are, I've never seen, well, maybe you can find green, but these don't tend to come in lots of colors if you're buying them from like an office supply store. If you're going to an art store, then you can find all kinds of inks. But I'm going with the most basic supplies. And then you might want some water if you want to try this. So maybe a little cup with some water and a dropper, or just a spray bottle. We'll see if we get around to that. I'm going to use a fine tip black permanent marker to do the doodling. My sketchbook, and if you're going to use paper, you're going to have to fold your paper in half. The thicker the paper, the better, but you can do it with normal paper. Now, one warning is to cover your work surface with lots of scrap paper so that you don't get ink on it, okay? And if you do get ink on something, have a rag on hand and maybe some rubbing alcohol to quickly try to get that off. But prevention is better, so put down a bunch of scrap paper. Since I'm working in my sketchbook, I'm not too worried about my work surface, but I did put some scrap paper behind the pages that I'm going to be folding together. Okay, very quickly, let me give you some examples. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to put some ink in our sketchbook or on our paper. We're going to fold that together, open it, and we're going to get an ink blot, a symmetrical ink blot. And then we're going to take a pen or a marker or a colored pencil, and we're going to doodle on half of that. So we can still see. You'll find that some ink blots are so beautiful you actually don't want to doodle into them, so you don't have to, or you can just do half, or you can do the whole thing. It's up to you. Here's another example. So I did this ink blot, right? And this part of it looked like maybe the side of a face, and I just took it from there and drew a little lady. What else did I have here? Here. So let's see if I have one on hand. I hope it works, but a white paint pen can be fun to paint into because it's very dark sometimes, right? And so if you have a very dark ink blot, you can pull out a bunch of lines, but you can't draw into those dark areas sometimes. And this was actually drawn with a red pencil. I've always got my red pencil on hand. Okay, or actually this one's pink. What else? Let's see here. Yeah. So here, this just made me think of a castle, and if your ink blot is watered down, which is why we have the water, because you can add drips of ink and drips of water, then you get gray areas and it's easier to see your black lines when you doodle into it. So I started making a castle here, and I even added black with a black marker to create some contrast. This is a full-on coloring idea here. Why this was the ink blot. Now I used, what did I use for this? Was this yellow ink? I don't know if this was yellow ink or diluted yellow paint. I can't remember. This was a while ago. And then I started seeing like a cactus, and I just took it from there. I doodled with black lines first, then I came in with the white paint pen, and then I came in with pink. I think that's actually a gouache stick. So here, it looked like a hat to me, so I did a hat. So your doodle does not need to be symmetrical. Your ink blot is by nature symmetrical, but you can doodle, like her face is not symmetrical. I did her hair differently on both sides. And I added a flower here and I didn't here. So that's completely up to you. Play with that as well. And here's when you combine colors, it gets kind of interesting. And so what I thought I would do is, I've marked this page, I thought I would doodle into this one while the first doodle is drying, okay? It does dry quickly, but that doesn't mean you want to immediately grab your pen and start drawing. So we will let it dry. So I was thinking that might work. Okay, so let's just get going here. I'm taking my black ink and I'm just gonna splat some ink blots on here. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's see what happens. You can beat on it, you can rub it, it's kind of up to you. So we got that. Now, if the ink is still wet, you can actually come in here. Now, this is where your fingers are going to get black if you're not careful, which I don't mind, but just in case, grab some scrap paper and push that ink out. If that ink is sitting on your paper, and it's going to depend on the type of paper you're using, because some papers have a bit of a finish on them, right? So you can push that ink out if you want. Here I can also see it's still sitting there. So I'm going to push that ink out. I think it's already pretty much dried at this point. So there you go. But you did see me push that one out. So look, by pushing it out now, to me that looks like a bird, like a dove. Like I could make a dove out of that. And this looks like a butterfly. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to do a bigger one with more ink, and then let both of these dry. I'm wondering if we should just go ahead and do like a multicolor one. Let me just grab the blue, because I have a lot of blue. So I encourage you to do not just splats. How about we do something like an S, like, right? What happens if we do an S and then I actually want to put something in the center? So the interesting thing about putting drips in the center, woo, check that out, is when you put something in the center is when you get when you get blots that look like butterflies or bats or insects, because it's that center. It's that color in the center that makes it look like the center. Now check that out. Isn't that amazing? Wow. That is amazing. So you can see that the ink is pooling. So you could pull off of that. You could put a piece of paper down and pull that off. Or you could squish it out. Or you could just let it dry. I'm just going to let it dry. Yeah, let's just let it dry. Because if I turn it over and sort of flatten it this way, I'm gonna lose that shape, okay? And I don't want to lose that shape. So let me set this aside here and let that dry, and let me come in here and let's doodle this guy for a minute. Oops, I think it was this guy. So what can you doodle? Well, let's see. What do you see when you look at this? I see a tree, I think, mostly. Or a monster. Or a group of monsters. But just have fun. And like I said, maybe you only want to do half. Maybe you only want to do half. So let's see. I'm going to come in here and see if I can somehow make this a tree. And I'm just going to use the shapes here to inspire my tree shape. So it's not that you have to make the blots specifically look like anything. You're just using them to inspire, like what could go on top of them, if that makes sense. You might have a blot that looks exactly like a butterfly, and that's great, but if you don't see anything, that's fine too, because I'm just letting these red shapes dictate where I put my lines without really thinking too much more about it. And then maybe coming off, you know, maybe I'm connecting. Make it quick, unless you really want to do a detailed drawing. Just have fun here. And I could go back and forth on this a few more times, but I just wanted you to see that. So that's just sort of giving it something on top of what I have. And I will leave half of it blank because I love seeing the ink blots just the way they are. And I want to quickly do one example with water. Okay. So let's do the blue. And I did 5 splats, making sure one went in the center. And now I'm gonna spray. Be careful with the spraying because it might make your ink jump. So that's when you've got your work surface protected, right? Remember I mentioned that. Okay, and now it might be a little less dramatic. I'm gonna add water. Okay. So some of these areas should be, see, this is how it ends up on your table. I'm already seeing that. That will squish out and end up on your table if you're not careful. Okay. See how it's coming out? Check that out. It's coming out all the way here. Why? Why is it coming out all over the place? Because I added water. Ooh, I got a lot. I got almost too much, I would say. But the effects you get with water are so beautiful. So absolutely gorgeous. So I'm gonna let that dry. Yeah, I added too much water. I got a little carried away. Oops. I'm gonna do one more just to show you when it's not quite so dramatic. Okay. So let's do it with the black. So I'm just gonna draw a line like this, okay? And now I'm gonna add just 2 drips of water. And now I'm close it. And hopefully that wasn't too much ink. That might have been too much as well. I'm a little bit ink happy today. But isn't that beautiful? So this is what the water does, right? I'm going to come in here and sort of squish that out, get that paint to... You can see my finger's getting black because the ink is actually going through the paper. So I just did that by rubbing it, okay? And if I wanted a little more, what could I do? I'm pretty happy with this. What happens if you add water after you've done it? I'm actually not sure, but let's just try it out. I'm going to drip water on this shape. Yep, it certainly activated it. It was still pretty wet. So that's really fun. Oh wow, I had fun with that. This actually already looks dry. I don't know if I could do it again. But that's pretty cool. So you can add water to it. Now if you were to add water, if you really like these lines, because this looks like a bat to you, or a monster, those intricate little lines creating the outline of that shape you like, if you add water there, it's just going to get blurred. So it's up to you. Experiment. Try blurring things on purpose and try blurring and see what happens by accident. Usually the accidents are the most amazing things. Okay, I'll scan these for you and let you see how I finish them. Have fun, give this a try, you're gonna love it. I hope you had fun taking this tiny creative play break with me. Remember, there's always a way to bring more creative play into your life. And as long as you can play, as long as you can try new things, you're never ever stuck, right? I've got lots more ideas for you here on my YouTube channel, so subscribe, stay tuned, and play, play, play. Come back and gift yourself a daily dose of Make Stuff Feel Good energy. Thank you so much for being here. Sparkle on.